Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Selection Saturday Kickoff Show Helmet Selection Edition for your Week 10 of the college football season. Tonight we are picking 39 games. 39. And originally we were going to do this Friday night, but my high school football team has a playoff game at home. And I am not sure if I'm actually going to it, but we're going to treat that as if it's a game time decision. I could either go and watch it in person, or I can stay home and watch the live stream in the cozy confines of my humble abode in which I currently do the Selection Saturday Kickoff Show from. Meanwhile, a couple of quick things before we go into the madness of picking helmets here. As you know, the helmetry whiteout is coming, and we're waiting on one last arrival that should be arriving tomorrow, and then we get down to the business of not only planning out the whiteout, but do some sort of roll call episode, a special Selection Saturday Kickoff roll call, if you will. Of all the schools, there's got to be at least 110 in all. We are breaking a record this year. That much we do know. It is the first ever helmet tree whiteout, and it's coming your way in the not-too-distant future. Speaking of the helmet tree, I don't think I've ever mentioned this to you guys, but the very first one I ever decorated and put up happened on December the 5th, 2006. A 3-foot fiber optic, which, as far as I know, is somewhere on the campus of W&J College. Once called this place home to all 32 NFL teams, but it has grown by leaps and bounds, and certainly now, after all these years, it's college football here, now, and beyond. So we got not one, but two versions of the helmet tree coming your way. And again, once we get down to the business of the helmet tree in terms of the whiteout, once that concludes and the bowls are announced, we'll change out from the whiteout and get you ready for what is sure to be one of the more crazier bowl seasons ever. For now, though, we got 39 games in which to pick from, and we're not going to mess around any longer. Let's get on with it. We have our first pick. I totally screwed this up, but we're going to tiptoe through the minefield anyway because we got a cockfight at high noon. That's right. It's finally happening. Jacksonville State and South Carolina. Gamecocks versus Gamecocks. Well, it's not exactly Tigers versus Tigers, but Jacksonville State 7-2, South Carolina 2-6, which ultimately means one more loss, and South Carolina's bowl eligibility is gone. And Jacksonville State, this is really interesting. Jacksonville State is looking for some freaking respect. South Carolina is just trying to win out to stay alive. It's a tough out. But this is not like me, considering that I've already made a couple of big ones. Not the big ones, but a couple of big picks this year in which I picked Sacramento State to beat Stanford, and Sacramento State won. And, of course, last week, Kansas beating Oklahoma, which I don't think anybody expected, unless you're the Kansas Jayhawks. And while this doesn't quite fall under those headings there, I am going to take Jacksonville State to beat South Carolina. And I didn't say Gamecocks. So, have a good cockfight, guys. That's all I'm going to say. Tennessee hosting UConn. Tennessee, that's a no-brainer. Youngstown State in Indiana State. We are now already in FCS mode for the next few picks. Indiana State still hasn't won a game yet, and that ain't going to change this week. Youngstown State is, last I checked, I think they're either in the top 25 or they're on the outer periphery of the top 25. The same could be said for the Albany Great Danes. Reese Poffenbarger and the Great Danes hosting William and Mary. Should be a tough one. Albany, I do know. As I said, they're on the outer periphery of the top 25. A win here might put them in it. It's going to be tough sledding, but I'm going to ride with Poffenbarger and his Great Danes. And speaking of the FCS, Delaware. Boy, are they hot right now. 7-1, hosting Elon. Make it 8-1. No sign stealing, please. Okay. Just thought I'd throw that out there. We have Villanova and New Hampshire. Well, New Hampshire got knocked out of the top 25. And they too are on the outer periphery. And they may as well stay there. I'm taking Villanova. Kennesaw State, who will go through what James Madison's already gone through, what Jacksonville State is going through. And Sam Houston, for that matter. Sam Houston, of course, hasn't won a game all year. And that's Kennesaw State's opponent. They're visiting Sam Houston. Going to take Kennesaw State. Mercer and the Citadel. The Citadel have only won, if it's not one game, it's definitely 0, and that's not going to change. Mercer over the Citadel. We have a hiccup on the FCS, and we're back in the FBS for Navy and Temple. Navy and Temple fighting to stay alive for what bowl eligibility, what little bowl eligibility they have. I would like, considering that Army and Air Force, which is coming up shortly, are playing against each other, I would just like for all the service academies to do good this week. So Navy, it's on you guys. Make it happen. North Dakota and Murray State. North Dakota should be very much the winner in this one. And why not? I'm holding the helmet. That's all you needed to know. And I need to get that first group of helmets out of the way here before I knock them over. It's good to be me. Good to be me in the helmet tree. And the picks just keep on coming. Utah hosting Arizona State. Utah. Arizona State, though, has made things interesting in the last couple of weeks. That much we do know. Army and Air Force. Air Force still undefeated. And looking to perhaps steal a New Year's Six bowl away from somebody. I tell you what, I wouldn't bet against Air Force. Not about to start now, and probably won't start until the season is over. Then we can start talking about whether or not they're legitimate. I think they are. Of course, the glass half empty crowd's thinking, well, they haven't played anybody. Yes, they have. It's called the Mountain West. It's a conference. It may not be the Power 5. Well, it doesn't have to be. Ask Central Florida. Okay? Ask anyone. Ask Boise State. Remember the Oklahoma Fiesta Bowl game? I certainly do. Tennessee Martin over Tennessee Tech. That was a little premature. I held the helmet up before I even mentioned the teams. Is it right? Yeah, Louisiana and Arkansas State. Louisiana, I believe, are 5-3. Arkansas State 4-4. Oh boy, isn't this interesting? Arkansas State. I would have written them off. Heck, I did write them off about a month ago, maybe. I'm gonna write them off anyway. Taking the Raging Cajuns. Get that bowl bid, will you please? The bowl season just wouldn't be the same without a lot of New Orleans flavor. South Florida versus Memphis. Memphis, bowl bound. And speaking of bowl bound, a team that I'm going to go ahead and hold the helmet up right now while the getting's good. That would be the Road Runners of UTSA. A win over North Texas will get them that bowl bid, and they will get it. FAU, UAB. There's a song in there, and that's as far as I'm going to go with it. I will continue to root against UAB until Trent Dilfer is out as head coach. So I'm taking Florida Atlantic. Now we go back to the FCS. And with it, Northern Arizona against Montana State. Montana State lost at Idaho last week. That was my only blemish amongst the Big One selections from a week ago. I'm looking for a bounce-back game as Montana State now gets ready to prepare themselves for... I wish I could remember the name of the rivalry with the Montana Grizzlies. It's a big one. It's the biggest rivalry outside of any major rivalry in major college football. It's the one that nobody knows about. I'm so looking forward to picking it when the time comes. Let's see, what do we got? Oh, yes, the rematch of last year's FCS National Championship game, North Dakota State and South Dakota State. South Dakota State is not staying on 20. They're going for blackjack. 21 wins in a row. It's at home. They should pull it off with not too much trouble there. Although North Dakota State will give them a fight. That I can promise you. Tulane and East Carolina. East Carolina is done. Taking Tulane. Now we go to Coastal Carolina and Old Dominion. Coastal Carolina 5-3. Old Dominion 4-4. Much like Louisiana and Arkansas State. This is a tough one to pick. But chance up. Taking Coastal. Meanwhile, Houston and Baylor. I just want Baylor to beat Houston so bad that it hurts Dana Holgerson's heart. I can't wait till he leaves. Maybe the toughest pick of the helmet selections here, and believe me, I've been wrestling with this one. Iowa and Northwestern. I like these teams a lot, as you know. I am so proud of what Northwestern has done over the last 2 months. Iowa, meanwhile, for a team with, one loss? I mean, records are so deceiving, and so does the level of play. We know Iowa's got the defense. The offense is suspect, depending upon which side of the fence you're on. This is a tough pick. Iowa's on the road. If Northwestern wins this one, I'm going to be anxious to look at the schedule and see if maybe they got a shot at a bowl bid that no one gave them a chance on at the start of the season. For now, I'm going to take the Hawkeyes on the road. Tell you, I hated to pick against Northwestern. But I like Iowa a good bit too. And we'll see what happens in Evanston. Louisiana Monroe and Southern Mississippi. Louisiana Monroe 2-6. Southern Mississippi 1-7. And I'm picking. I don't know very much about the Warhawks. Southern Mississippi, on the other hand, I know Brett Favre played down there. There was a quarterback named Austin Davis that took Southern Miss to 4 straight bowl games, I think. At least 3. But it would have to be, I would think it would have to be 4, mainly because I vividly remembered a New Orleans Bowl from way back when, where Southern Mississippi broke out the all-gold uniforms with these black helmets. And they looked sharp. Dear Southern Miss, if you can, break them out and try to win Like to see you back to respectability. Won't be happening this year, but I am going to pick Southern Miss. Probably the only time that I'll pick Southern Miss this year. And now we have Charlotte and Tulsa. I'm still thinking about that soundbite from Charlotte's head coach. I'm trying to remember his name. I know his name's Biff, but he made a comment about sausage being made or something like that. Well, time to fire up the sausage. Tulsa, after getting shellacked by 59 points to SMU, time to make the sausage. Auburn, Vanderbilt, Auburn. That sounded so funny the way that came out. Hawaii and Nevada. I can't pull it off twice in a row. But I'm going to go with Nevada. Nevada, it's strange to me to think that here was a team that was easy to pick against, and yet they've beaten San Diego State in New Mexico in back-to-back games. So they're building something there. Now they got Hawaii. They're trying for 3 in a row, and they're going to get it, I think. Austin Peay, number 17 in FCS play, taking on Eastern Kentucky. Here's a name that I've not talked about. Mike, let me see if I get this right. Mike DiLiello. He's the quarterback for Austin Peay. Last week he tied a school record throwing 6 touchdown passes. And I'm trying to remember who Austin Peay beat last week, and I can't remember now. The only reason why I bring that up was that the opposing quarterback threw 5. It was a wild one, but the Governors did it. And now they go on the road to take on Eastern Kentucky. They're going to stay in the top 25. Let's go, P. Now. Texas State hosting Georgia Southern. Georgia State's already bowl bound. Last week, I said Texas State would have to wait a week for a shot at a bowl bid. They still are sitting on 5 wins. I think now it's go time. Going with the Bobcats over the Eagles, which now brings us to... Wow, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I don't have it here? I don't have it here. Wow. Pardon me a moment while I... This is great. Where is the helmet? I had it here. I had it here. Oh my goodness. It's not even on the field. I had it here. Where else can you have a show that goes horribly wrong on every episode? This is wonderful. Can we do a headgear instead? Because it involves Oregon. It involves Oregon. Oregon's playing Cal. I don't see it now. What the heck happened? Pardon me. What the hell? Oh, pfft. We found it. It was lying head first. Oh my God. Why did it have to be that? Couldn't it just been some other team? No, it's Oregon. It's not like I'm putting a curse on my Ducks. Come on now. Oregon's hosting Cal. And it is to my understanding that Oregon fans are wearing yellow this week, so I'm going to follow suit. And there you have it, folks. We broke out the yellow Oregon helmet. Wonderfully done. I can't remember who did it, but Oh my God. I could have easily just, said, okay, look at the shirt. It's Oregon. It's the Alamo Bowl when they played, what was it, Oklahoma? Ugh, I can't believe that happened. Anyway, Oregon over Cal. Marshall and Appalachian State. Appalachian State, it's go time. Get with it. Beat the herd. Liberty hosting Louisiana Tech. Liberty, 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 liberty. UNLV in New Mexico. UNLV. New Mexico State, who needs to have 7 wins to be bowl eligible because they played one extra game on their schedule this season. They are hosting Middle Tennessee. Diego Pavia and company will get the job done. Their white helmet, will be arriving tomorrow. So yes, New Mexico State will be a part of the 2023 Helmetry Whiteout. Kentucky and Mississippi State, it is to my understanding that the late Mike Leach is being inducted into the Texas Football Hall of Fame. And rightfully so, and wonderfully so. Despite what you may say or think about him, and believe me, I've had my moments where I'm thinking, this guy's nuts. If it wasn't for his air raid offense, which, oddly enough, he and Hal Mooney, who later coached at Kentucky, that's why this matchup, I think, is kind of intriguing. You're taking Hal Mooney and Mike Leach, and it makes for a great backstory as to how the whole air raid offense came into being. But that's only part of the story. The story itself is definitely worth checking out. It's still alive and well, ladies and gentlemen. I'd imagine it's going to be on display in some form or other. And it may even be in Starkville. And I think it's here. As much as I want to see Kentucky win and get their bowl bid, they're 5-3. Mississippi State, cowbells and all, will take down the Cats. Which now brings us to SMU and Rice, and it breaks my heart that I have to pick against Rice again. The Mustangs are already bowl-bound. They're building on this. It's a great story down there in Big D. But Rice will still have their chances. There aren't too many chances left. But if they beat SMU, then maybe, just maybe, they'll get a bowl bid. And they won't have to worry about going 5-7 to do it. Western Kentucky and Texas El Paso. UTEP, that is, at the Sun Bowl. They'll be under the lights, so no sun. And also no wind. Go Hilltoppers. Stanford and Washington State. There's a part of me that wants to encourage Washington State's free fall to continue, but I'm quick to remind myself that I have an uncle who's a Washington State grad, so maybe a rebound is in order up in Pullman. Gonna go with Washington State. And finally, Boise State and Fresno State. And ladies and gentlemen, Fresno State 7-1, Boise State 4-4. This is a tough pick. And I say that in part because you're always one to think that Boise State finds its way back into the bowl bonanza, regardless of record. You can almost, kind of like Memphis, you kind of count on them being there every year, but they're kind of on the brink of possibly being eliminated here. I mean, it's 4-4 right now. To win over Fresno State might change their fortunes a little bit. However, I am going to go ahead and take Fresno State to beat Boise State. And that, my friends, concludes matters for the helmet selections for Week 10. All 39 have been have stood and have been counted. And now we get to ride off into the sunset for this episode of the Selection Saturday Kickoff Show. From all of me to all of you, BR signing off. Have yourselves a great one, and we'll talk to you Saturday.